West Virginia, a place known for its breathtaking natural beauty, its close-knit communities, and the simple pleasures of small-town life. A place where families put down roots, where children grow up surrounded by the warmth and familiarity of home. But even in the most tranquil settings, darkness can find its way in, shattering the peace and leaving an indelible mark on those it touches. This is Emmaleigh Barringer. Born prematurely, she fought for her life from the very beginning, a tiny but fierce spirit who defied the odds. Emmaleigh was the youngest of 4 children, a bright light in a family that had known its share of struggles. Her mother, Amanda Atkins, was a young woman doing her best to provide for her children, navigating the challenges of single parenthood with determination and love. But life for Amanda and her children was far from easy. They lived in a small apartment, relying on government assistance and the kindness of neighbors to make ends meet. Despite the hardships, Amanda was fiercely protective of her children, creating a haven of love and stability amidst the uncertainty. But Amanda's efforts to shield her children from harm would ultimately be in vain. On a cold October night, a darkness descended upon their home, a darkness that would forever alter the course of their lives. October 3, 2016. Inside these walls, a crime occurred so horrific that it shook the community to its core, leaving even seasoned law enforcement officers reeling in disbelief. The detective, a seasoned veteran with years of experience on the force, was visibly shaken by the case. He had witnessed countless acts of violence, but the brutality inflicted on Emmaleigh was something he had never encountered before. It was, in his words, beyond comprehension. This is the story of Emmaleigh Barringer, a story of a family's love and resilience tested by unimaginable evil, a story that will take us into the darkest corners of human behavior, but also illuminate the strength of the human spirit and the unwavering pursuit of justice. Join us as we uncover the truth behind Emmaleig's tragic death, exploring the events that led to that fateful night, the investigation that exposed a web of lies, and the fight for justice that continues to this day. In the wake of unimaginable horror, a mother's heart breaks. Amanda Atkins, a young woman who had always faced life's challenges with unwavering strength, now finds herself grappling with a grief so profound it threatens to shatter her very being. Emmaleigh was Amanda's everything, her youngest child, her precious baby girl, a constant source of light and laughter in a life that had known its share of darkness. But now, that light has been extinguished, leaving Amanda lost in a sea of despair. Amanda was a single mother, raising 4 young children in a small West Virginia town. Life wasn't easy. She worked long hours at a local gas station, struggling to make ends meet. But despite the financial hardships, Amanda always put her children first. She was their rock, their protector, their source of unwavering love and support. Amanda's friends and family describe her as a devoted mother, a woman who would do anything for her children. She was fiercely protective of them, determined to shield them from the harsh realities of their circumstances. But on that fateful October night, Amanda's worst nightmare became a reality. The safe haven she had created for her children was violated, her sense of security shattered, and her heart broken beyond repair. The psychological scars left by such a horrific event are deep and enduring. Amanda is haunted by guilt, by the agonizing question of, what if? She replays that night over and over in her mind, searching for answers that may never come. Amanda's journey through grief is a long and arduous one. She faces a future filled with uncertainty, a future without her precious Emmaleigh, but even in the depths of her despair, a flicker of hope remains. The hope that justice will be served, that Emmaleig's memory will live on, and that her story will help prevent other children from suffering the same fate. How does a mother find the strength to go on after such a devastating loss? How does she navigate the overwhelming emotions of grief, anger, and guilt? And how can we as a society support those who have endured the unimaginable pain of losing a child to violence? Behind every horrific crime lies a perpetrator. In this case, the man responsible for Emmaleig's death was not a stranger lurking in the shadows, but someone who had gained the trust of her family, someone they welcomed into their home. Benjamin Taylor, Amanda's boyfriend, a man who presented himself as a caring and supportive partner. He seemed eager to help with the children, to be a part of their lives. But behind that facade, a darker truth lay hidden. To understand the depths of Taylor's depravity, we must delve into his past, searching for clues that might explain his actions on that fateful night. Interviews with former acquaintances paint a disturbing picture of a man with a history of troubling behavior. There were whispers of aggression, of a quick temper, of a tendency to lash out when things didn't go his way. Taylor's online presence reveals a darker side, a man who harbored resentment and anger towards women. His posts are filled with vitriol and hate, a glimpse into the twisted thoughts that may have fueled his actions. Court records reveal a history of run-ins with the law, arrest for theft, assault, and domestic violence, red flags that were seemingly ignored or dismissed. As we piece together the fragments of Taylor's past, a disturbing pattern emerges. A pattern of violence, of disregard for others, of a growing darkness that would ultimately culminate in an act of unspeakable cruelty. But how did this man, with his troubled past and disturbing tendencies, gain the trust of Amanda and her family? And what events led to that horrific night in October 2016? The answers lie ahead as we delve deeper into the circumstances surrounding Emmaleigh's death. Feeling it, give this video a thumbs up and share it to spread awareness. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and join our true crime community. For those of you who've been here a while, you know I appreciate you. Thanks for sticking around. The night began like any other in the small town of Ripley, West Virginia. Families settled in for the night, lights flickered off, and a peaceful quiet descended upon the community. But within the walls of a modest apartment building, a night of unimaginable horror was about to unfold. Let's step back in time, retracing the events of that fateful night, drawing from police reports, court testimonies, and Amanda's own harrowing account. Amanda Adkins, exhausted after a long day of work, had put her 4 children to bed. Benjamin Taylor, her boyfriend, was downstairs doing laundry. Emmaleigh, her youngest, was asleep in her crib. According to Taylor's later testimony, he went to check on Emmaleigh and found her crying. He brought her downstairs to the basement, claiming he wanted to soothe her back to sleep. Upstairs, Amanda slept soundly, unaware of the horrors unfolding beneath her. What happened in the basement during those early morning hours remains shrouded in darkness and Taylor's conflicting accounts. But the evidence paints a grim picture of a brutal assault, a betrayal of trust that defies comprehension. Amanda awoke with a start, a sense of unease washing over her. She noticed that Emmaleigh was not in her crib. A growing panic began to rise within her. As Amanda descended the stairs, she had no idea of the horrific scene that awaited her, a scene that would forever scar her soul and change the course of her life. What Amanda discovered in that basement would haunt her dreams forever. A discovery so shocking, so devastating that it would send shockwaves through the entire community. But before we confront the full horror of that moment, let's listen to the chilling 911 call that Amanda made, a call that captures the raw terror and confusion of a mother facing the unthinkable. A warning to our viewers, the details of this scene are disturbing and may be upsetting to some. We have chosen to focus on the evidence and the setting, avoiding any graphic depictions of Emmaleigh's injuries out of respect for her and her family. This is the basement where Amanda Adkins found her 10-month-old daughter Emmaleigh. The scene that greeted her was one of unimaginable horror, a nightmare that no parent should ever have to witness. The crime scene spoke volumes even before the forensic experts arrived. The bloodstains, the disarray, the chilling silence that now hung in the air, all pointed to a brutal attack, a violation of innocence that defied comprehension. Forensic investigators meticulously combed through the scene, collecting every piece of evidence, every trace of DNA, every clue that might help piece together the events of that horrific night. The bloodstains found at the scene were extensive, indicating a violent and prolonged assault. Emmaleig's tiny body bore the marks of unimaginable cruelty, a testament to the depravity of her attacker. The medical examiner who conducted Emmaleig's autopsy described her injuries as some of the worst she had ever seen in her career. Emmaleigh had suffered severe internal injuries consistent with a violent sexual assault. She had also sustained blunt force trauma to her head and face, likely caused by repeated blows. The evidence is overwhelming, the details heartbreaking, but as we confront the brutality of Emmaleig's death, we must also remember her life, her innocence, her spirit. We must honor her memory by seeking justice and working to prevent such tragedies from happening again. But the investigation was far from over. Detectives had a suspect in custody, a man who claimed to have no memory of that night. How would they uncover the truth and bring Emmaleig's killer to justice? The answers lie ahead as we delve into the interrogation room and the courtroom, where the fight for justice would unfold. In the hours following the discovery of Emmaleig's lifeless body, Benjamin Taylor was brought to the police station for questioning. The man who had presented himself as a caring father figure was now the prime suspect in a horrific crime. The interrogation was tense and grueling, lasting for several hours. Detectives meticulously questioned Taylor about his whereabouts that night, his interactions with Emmaleigh, and his explanation for the horrific injuries she sustained. Taylor's story changed multiple times throughout the interrogation. He initially denied any involvement in Emmaleig's death, claiming he had been asleep in the living room. But as detectives pressed him with evidence, his story began to unravel. The inconsistencies in Taylor's account were glaring. He claimed to have blacked out, yet he could recall specific details about the night. He denied harming Emmaleigh, yet his DNA was found on her body and at the crime scene. Body language experts who have studied the interrogation footage point to numerous signs of deception. Taylor's averted gaze, his fidgeting, his hesitant speech, all suggest that he is withholding information and trying to conceal the truth. As the interrogation progressed, Taylor's denials became weaker, his composure crumbling under the weight of the evidence. But even as the truth began to emerge, he refused to take full responsibility for his actions. The interrogation left detectives with more questions than answers. What truly happened in that basement in the early hours of October 3rd? Was Taylor's blackout genuine, or a convenient excuse to avoid accountability? And how would the prosecution build a case against a man who claimed to have no memory of his crime? The wheels of justice turn slowly, but they grind exceedingly fine. For Amanda Adkins and her family, the wait for justice for Emmaleigh was agonizing. Months of preparation, of gathering evidence, of reliving the trauma all culminated in this moment, the trial of Benjamin Taylor. The prosecution, led by prosecutor's name, presented a meticulously crafted case laying out the evidence against Taylor with chilling clarity. They argued that Taylor's actions were deliberate and monstrous, a betrayal of trust that deserved the harshest punishment. The evidence against Taylor was overwhelming. His DNA was found on Emmaleig's body and at the crime scene. His conflicting statements during the interrogation were exposed, and the medical testimony painted a horrifying picture of the violence inflicted upon a defenseless child. The defense, however, maintained that Taylor was heavily intoxicated on the night of the crime and had no memory of his actions. They argued that his blackout was genuine, not a convenient excuse to avoid responsibility. The defense attempted to portray Taylor as a troubled but ultimately non-violent man, a victim of his own addiction. They argued that his previous criminal record was irrelevant to the case at hand. The jury was tasked with a heavy burden to determine the fate of Benjamin Taylor and to deliver justice for Emmaleigh Barringer. Their decision would have a profound impact on both families, on the community, and on the fight against child abuse. The tension in the courtroom was palpable. Days turned into weeks as the jury deliberated, their decision hanging in the balance. Amanda and her family held their breath, hoping for justice, praying for closure. But as the jury prepared to deliver their verdict, a question lingered in the air. Would justice prevail? Or would Taylor's claims of a blackout be enough to sway the jury and deny Emmaleigh the justice she deserved? After weeks of testimony, of evidence presented and challenged, of emotional pleas and strategic arguments, the fate of Benjamin Taylor now rested in the hands of the jury. 12 individuals tasked with sifting through the evidence, weighing the arguments, and ultimately determining whether Taylor would be held accountable for the horrific crime he was accused of. Impact, the jury room. The atmosphere was tense. The jurors, ordinary citizens thrust into an extraordinary situation, wrestled with the complexities of the case. They reviewed the forensic evidence, analyzed Taylor's conflicting statements, and considered the impact their decision would have on the lives of those involved. The moment of truth had arrived. The courtroom fell silent as the verdict was read, each word echoing through the tense atmosphere. Guilty. on all counts. The jury had spoken, finding Benjamin Taylor guilty of first-degree murder, death of a child by child abuse, and sexual abuse by a guardian. A collective gasp filled the courtroom as the weight of the verdict settled upon those present. For Amanda and her family, the verdict brought a sense of relief, a confirmation that justice had been served. But it also reopened the wounds of their grief, reminding them of the unimaginable loss they had suffered. The judge, acknowledging the heinous nature of the crime and the devastating impact it had on Emmaleig's family, sentenced Benjamin Taylor to life in prison without the possibility of parole, a sentence that ensured he would never again have the opportunity to harm another child. The verdict and sentencing brought a sense of closure to the legal proceedings, but the ripples of Emmaleig's tragic death continued to spread throughout the community and beyond. Emmaleig's case had shaken the small town of Ripley to its core, leaving residents grappling with questions of safety, trust, and the vulnerability of children. The community came together to mourn Emmaleigh, to support her family, and to demand justice. But the story of Emmaleigh Barringer doesn't end with the verdict. Her legacy would extend far beyond the courtroom, sparking a movement for change and inspiring a community to protect its most vulnerable members. In the aftermath of tragedy, communities often search for meaning, for a way to honor the victim and prevent such horrors from happening again. In the case of Emmaleigh Barringer, her tragic death became a catalyst for change, a rallying cry for justice and child protection. Emmaleig's Law, officially known as Senate Bill 2088, was introduced in the West Virginia legislature in 2017, just months after her death. The bill sought to strengthen penalties for child abuse resulting in death, ensuring that those who commit such heinous crimes face the harshest possible consequences. The bill quickly gained bipartisan support, passing unanimously in both the Senate and the House of Delegates. It was a testament to the power of Emmaleig's story, a story that touched the hearts of lawmakers and citizens alike. On April 7, 2017, Emmaleig's Law was signed into law by Governor Jim Justice. It was a landmark moment in the fight against child abuse in West Virginia, a victory for those who had fought tirelessly to ensure that Emmaleig's death would not be in vain. State Senator, a key advocate for Emmaleig's Law, spoke passionately about the importance of the legislation. The state senator's voice fills the screen, his words echoing with conviction. Emmaleig's Law is a testament to her short life. It's a promise to her and to all children that we will do everything in our power to protect them from harm. This law sends a clear message that child abuse will not be tolerated in West Virginia. Child advocates across the state hailed Emmaleig's Law as a significant step forward in the fight against child abuse. The child advocate's voice resonates with hope and determination. This law is a powerful tool in our efforts to protect children. It sends a message that those who harm children will be held accountable for their actions. Emmaleig's legacy will live on through this law, and through the countless lives it will save. Emmaleig's Law is a powerful reminder that even in the face of unimaginable tragedy, positive change is possible. Her story has inspired a community, a state, and a nation to stand up for children and demand an end to child abuse. But Emmaleig's legacy extends far beyond the courtroom and the legislature. Her story has sparked a conversation, a movement, a collective determination to protect the most vulnerable members of our society. And as we move forward, we must ask ourselves, what more can we do to ensure that no child suffers the same fate as Emmaleigh? Emmaleigh Barringer's story, while tragically unique, is not an isolated incident. It's a harsh reminder of a pervasive and heartbreaking reality. Child abuse is a national crisis, affecting millions of children every year. The numbers are staggering. Every year, millions of children in the United States suffer from neglect, physical abuse, sexual abuse, and emotional abuse. These innocent victims, often too young to speak for themselves, endure unimaginable pain and suffering at the hands of those who should be protecting them. A leading sociologist in the field of child welfare explains the complex factors that contribute to child abuse. Child abuse is a multifaceted problem with roots in various societal issues: poverty, substance abuse, domestic violence, lack of access to mental health services. These are just some of the factors that can create an environment where child abuse is more likely to occur. The doctor also emphasizes the importance of understanding these root causes in order to effectively address the problem of child abuse. We can't simply focus on punishing abusers after the fact. We need to invest in prevention programs, support families in need, and address the underlying societal issues that contribute to child maltreatment. The news reports may seem relentless, each story more heartbreaking than the last, but we cannot turn away from this reality. We must acknowledge the scope of the problem, understand its complexities, and work together to create a world where all children are safe from harm. Emmaleig's story is a tragic reminder of the urgent need for action. Her legacy, and the legacy of countless other victims of child abuse, demands that we do more to protect our children. But what can we do as individuals, as communities, as a nation, to prevent these tragedies from happening again? The answers lie ahead, as we explore the ways in which we can all become part of the solution. In the heart of Ripley, West Virginia, a memorial garden stands as a testament to the life and memory of Emmaleigh Barringer. It's a place of peace and reflection, a space where the community can come together to remember the little girl whose life was tragically cut short. This garden, created by the loving hands of community members, serves as a reminder that Emmaleig's spirit lives on. It's a place where her memory is cherished, where her laughter echoes in the rustling leaves, and where her smile shines through the vibrant colors of the flowers. Emmaleigh was a bright and vibrant child, full of life and laughter. She loved to sing and dance, to play with her toys, and to cuddle with her mother. Her smile could light up a room, and her infectious laughter brought joy to all who knew her. Amanda's voice, soft and filled with love, overlays the images. Emmaleigh loved to laugh. She had the most beautiful smile. She was always so happy, so full of life. I miss her every single day. The community of Ripley came together to mourn Emmaleigh, to celebrate her life, and to offer support to her grieving family. The candlelight vigil was a testament to the impact Emmaleigh had on those around her, a reminder that her memory would forever be etched in their hearts. Emmaleig's death sparked a wave of grief and outrage, but it also ignited a sense of community and a shared commitment to protecting children. Her story became a catalyst for change, a reminder that we all have a responsibility to safeguard the innocence of childhood. As we remember Emmaleigh, let us not only mourn her loss, but also celebrate her life. Let us remember her laughter, her smile, her infectious joy, and let us honor her memory by working to create a world where all children are safe, loved, and protected. But the story of Emmaleigh Barringer doesn't end with her tragic death. Her legacy lives on, inspiring change and reminding us of the importance of vigilance and compassion. And as we move forward, we must ask ourselves, how can we ensure that Emmaleig's story serves as a catalyst for lasting change in our communities and beyond? The tragic death of Emmaleigh Barringer serves as a stark reminder that child abuse is a hidden epidemic, often occurring behind closed doors, in the shadows of seemingly ordinary lives. But we cannot remain silent. We must all be vigilant, compassionate, and willing to speak up to protect the most vulnerable members of our society. We can all play a part in preventing child abuse. It starts with awareness, with recognizing the signs, with understanding the risk factors, and with knowing how to take action. Here are some critical steps we can all take to protect children. Be aware. Learn the signs of child abuse and neglect. These can include physical injuries, behavioral changes, and emotional distress. Listen to children. Pay attention to what children say and how they behave. Take their concerns seriously, and create a safe space for them to share their feelings. Support families. Offer help to families who are struggling. Connect them with resources like parenting classes, support groups, and mental health services. Report suspicions. If you suspect a child is being abused, don't hesitate to report it to the authorities. Your call could save a life. Child protection workers are on the front lines of the fight against child abuse. They investigate reports, provide support to families, and work to ensure the safety and well-being of children. The child protection workers' words echo with conviction. If you suspect a child is being abused, please don't hesitate to speak up. Your call could make all the difference. We are here to help, to protect children, and to ensure that they have a safe and nurturing environment to grow up in. Here are some valuable resources that can provide information, support, and assistance. The National Child Abuse Hotline 1-800-4224-453. Child Help USA www.childhelpusa.hel.gov. The Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network www.rainan.org. PreventChildAbuseAmerica.org, PreventChildAbuse.org, PreventChildAbuse.org, PreventChildAbuse.org. Every child deserves a safe and happy childhood. By working together, by breaking the silence, and by taking action, we can create a world where all children are protected from harm. But the fight against child abuse doesn't end with awareness and prevention. It also requires us to remember and honor the victims, to support their families, and to ensure that their stories serve as a catalyst for lasting change. In the final scene of our documentary, we will reflect on the legacy of Emmaleigh Barringer and the lessons we can learn from her tragic story. The story of Emmaleigh Barringer is a story of profound loss, of unimaginable cruelty, and of a darkness that can shatter even the most innocent of lives, but it is also a story of resilience, of love, and of the enduring power of the human spirit to overcome even the darkest of times. Emmaleigh's tragic death left a void in the hearts of her family and her community, a void that can never be truly filled. But her memory lives on, inspiring a movement for change, a commitment to protecting children, and a determination to create a world where all children are safe from harm. Melrose' legacy is a testament to the power of one life to make a difference. Her story has sparked conversations, ignited passions, and inspired action. It has reminded us of the importance of vigilance, of compassion, and of the collective responsibility we all share to protect the most vulnerable members of our society. The darkness that took Emmaleigh's life may never be fully extinguished, but even in the face of such tragedy, hope endures. It endures in the love of her family, in the dedication of those who fight for justice, and in the unwavering belief that we can create a better future for all children. As we conclude this documentary, we ask you to join us in honoring Emmaleigh's memory. Share her story, support organizations dedicated to child abuse prevention, and be a voice for those who cannot speak for themselves. Together we can make a difference. Together we can ensure that Emmaleig's legacy lives on, not in tragedy, but in hope, in healing, and in a future where all children are safe, loved, and protected.